الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا وشرفنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. الحديث التاسع والثلاثون. 39th hadith from رياض الصالحين. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من يرد الله به خيرا يصب منه. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that anyone for whom Allah Ta'ala wants khair, He tests him. We, in class earlier, I don't know if anyone's here from that. No, there's a couple of people. We mentioned that there's criticisms of hadith, that people used to criticize hadith. They were called mustashriqun, Orientalists. Mustashriqun. Now, sharq means east. So mustashriq, from bab istif'al, to do talab of the east. Because they wanted to seek the east, know the east, knowledge of the east. Because they're from the West, largely from Germany and Britain, America. The worst of them were the Germans, Galzia, etc. They attacked Islam a lot and the validity and authenticity of Islam. Ala kullin, alhamdulillah, the truth came out eventually and now it's set in stone. But there was a lot of work done by great Imams like Mustafa Azmi, Siddiqui, and others that set that narrative straight. Anyway, in the journey of trying to understand when a hadith is a hadith, there are 5 conditions. Yes, brother. There are 5 conditions for a hadith, and I've mentioned this before. You know, a hadith, and why I'm going to use this word, there's not a tangent. This is interesting from the hadith. Ji. When you have a hadith, I told you before, you have a matan, which is the text. Maslan here, Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam ka qawl kya hai? Man yuridillahu bihi khayran yusib minhu. Okay? This is matan, words of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. Then who's the Ravi? Abu Hurairah. Now we're not hearing it directly from Abu Hurairah, we are hearing it from Imam al-Nawawi. But al-Nawawi, and the hadith is in Bukhari as well. So Imam Bukhari, if you open up Bukhari now, I didn't plan to say this. If you open up Bukhari will have the sanad, where Bukhari says, Maine suna apne shaykh se fulan ibn fulan. And he had from his shaykh, unhone apne shaykh se, etc. Right? Now, hadith ki sehat ke liye, कि हम कहें कि यह hadith सही है, यह hadith सही है, उसके लिए 5 शराइत हैं, 5 conditions. 1 is ittisalus sanad. The sanad has to be muttasil. मतलब है कि उस sanad में कोई रावी मजहूल नहीं होना चाहिए, या कोई ऐसा कता में नहीं हुआ. हम देखते हैं कि ये रावी कहता कि मैंने इस रावी से सुना, लेकिन ये रावी जो है ना वो पैदा भी नहीं हुआ था जब ये रावी फौत हो गया था. So how could you hear it from him? तो किस तरह उसने सुन लिया? नहीं. You see what I'm trying to say? It's maqtu', it's caught in a chain. No sahih. Yes? Unless there's other ahadith that corroborate, shawahid, और ahadith आ जाए, say matan, वो अलग बात है. मैं एक hadith की बात कर रहा हूँ. Then there has to be dabt or rawi. Dabt or rawi. The rawi has to be trustworthy. Sadran wa kitabatan. Either they memorized very well or they wrote very well. तो उनका मुहावजा ठीक था, उनका जो किरदार ठीक था. And the hadith has to be free of shaz and illa. Shaz hadith is a hadith where there's another hadith that contradicts his hadith, and the ravi or the ruvat, the plural of ravi, the ruwat of the hadith are awthaq, are more trustworthy than this one. So yes sanad hai, yes sanad hai. Is sanad ke jo rijal hai, ravi hai, narrators, they are stronger than these ones. And the hadith is contradicting. Shaz. Also, hadith does not remain sahih. The last one is illah. Illah is a hidden ailment. A hidden khafi. ये खफी इसमें कोई मसला है, खलल है इसमें सनद में, लेकिन वो आम आदमी को नजर नहीं आता. You see, so some people say, give me an example of that. By the way, I went a long way, but it's an important way, so you get my point, because this is important. आदमी कहता है कि भाई, how do we know? One of the ways that the muhaddithun, the ulama hadith, how they could tell was by the way the hadith is said. Because Rasulullah alayhi sallam, आपका खास तरीका था बोलने का, कलाम फरमाने का, खास मिसाल. Look at this hadith. Firstly, the Prophet ﷺ spoke, qalla wa dalla. He was jawami ul kalim. Nabi Pak ﷺ अल्फाज कम इस्तेमाल फरमाते थे, लेकिन उन अल्फाजों के मानी बहर की तरह. Big meanings. The other thing is that he used to say things like, Man yu'min billahi wal yawmil akhir, falyakul khayran aw liyasmut. Man yu'min billahi, anyone that believes in Allah on the last day, speak well or be quiet. La yu'minu ahadukum hatta yuhibba li akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsi. None of you truly has iman, kamil, perfect faith, until he loves for his brother what he loves for himself. Hakaza. Likewise, when he wants to talk about ni'mas that Allah has given you, he'd often say, anyone for whom Allah wishes well. Anyone. Like, la yu'minu. Like for example, la yu'minu ahadukum hatta akuna ahabba ilayhi min walidihi wa waladihi wa nasi ajmain. None of you truly has iman, kamil iman, perfect iman, until I am more beloved to him than his father, his children and everything, right? Then he said, La yu'minu ahadukum hatta yuhibba li akhi. None of you has true iman until he loves for his brother. See that statement? Now you realize how the Prophet used to speak. His style of preaching. Likewise, man yuridillah bihi khayran. One hadith in Bukhari also, Rasulullah said, Man yuridillahu bihi khayran yufaqihu fit deen. Anyone for whom Allah Ta'ala wishes good, He gives them fiqh in deen. Fiqh, we use fiqh today to mean law, Islamic law. Yeah? Fiqh, lughatan in language, means al-fahm al-amiq, means a deep understanding. यानी जिसके लिए अल्लाह ताला खैर चाहता है वो उसको दीन की फाहम सही और दरीना फाहम अता फरमाता है. Gives a deep understanding. Look here in this hadith. Man yuridillahu bihi khayran. Anyone जिसके लिए अल्लाह ताला खैर चाहता है युसिब मिन्हु, इम्तिहान लेता है. He tests him. So this is, I thought I'll mention that because this came up, and I don't know if you did the other hadith, but you get to appreciate the style of the Prophet's speech, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. On to the mawzu of the hadith itself. The hadith says that anyone for whom Allah wants khair. How do you know that you have khair from Allah? One of the signs is that He tests you. Allahu Akbar. Now here, one of the commentators, he says something really interesting. He said, Al-mu'minu mu'aradun lil-ibtila. The believer is always an ibtila. Bi'illatin, with some sickness, or qillatin, or some lacking, loss of something, or zillatin, or debasement. Either he's going to be alil, yani mariz, either he's going to be qalil, yani faqir, or he's going to be dhalil, meaning this in life. Might go to work and your boss tells you off in an unbefitting way in front of your colleagues and you felt zillah. Possible. You could be wearing the kafiyah of Palestine and somebody pulls it off your head, as has happened, or even shoots you, as has happened in America. Right? The three boys, Allah yarhamuhum, Yeah, you said about that. You're wearing a kafiyah, be careful when you're out there. He was like, I don't need to be careful. I'm from Lahore. And I can deal with them. Yeah, but still, it's sad though, isn't it? It's sad that you wear a kafiyah, and this is how our sisters feel every day, wearing the hijab, don't they? Radiallahu anhunna. Allah be pleased with them. I say, हमने आज kafiyah पहन लिया तो, I started to get worried, right? But they wear the hijab every day. And they've been kicked down train stairs in the underground, have they not? The hijabs have been pulled out over time, spat on, shouted at. It happens. Walk around in the thobe. I do it from time to time for malish of my nafs. I go out. Maybe it's just self-projection. But you feel vulnerability, don't you? You feel vulnerable. There could be that somebody looks and thinks, oh, you're one of those terrorist supporters, right? I don't know if you heard the foreign minister from Palestine. He said in the Oxford Union yesterday or the day before, you can watch it on YouTube, and he said, everyone in Palestine, it's a dadi gal as we say in Punjabi, a very, very strong word. He said in Palestine now, either you are Hamas, therefore a terrorist, by the standards of today, and if you are not Hamas, you are a Hamas sympathizer, and if you are not a sympathizer, then you're a human shield. So either way you are going to die. Think about that. That's actually, when you put that taqseem into perspective, that's scary. Because either you're the terrorist, or you're the terrorist sympathizer, or if you're none of the above, then you're the human shield anyway. So, sorry. Vulnerability, that's not vulnerability, that's a whole different, unbelievable, unimaginable situation. But this is musibah from Allah. And this is why somebody said the people of Palestine they are prisoners. And the response was, the only Muslims on the planet that are not prisoners and actually free are the people of Palestine. Why? Because they won't bow. They won't bow before Taghut. They won't bow before the Fir'aun of the age. They won't bow. They're just not bowing. They refuse. They will rather die. Tipu Sultan, I intend to do a lecture on Tipu Sultan. Do you know who Tipu Sultan is? Anji? No. And so we don't know, and most of us don't realize he's one of the big heroes from our part. Well, I say our. I'm assuming most of us here, unless somebody's listening to me at home that is not from the subcontinent. He was one of the last, if not the last, Muslim ruler, so to speak, in South India that resisted the British. And he famously said, I'd rather die like a lion than live like a coward. And I think so. But when Allah wants khair for you, so even, here's a silver lining, even what's happening in Palestine, for them, not for us, we don't know the jawab we're going to be after. Jo jawab humne dena hai qiyamat ki din, Allah knows best. The only argument we're going to say is, Bari Ta'ala, we want rulers. Hamare paas na hukumat thi, na quwwat thi. Hum jo hamare taqat mein hua, humne kiya, humne dua ki, hum bole, aur डट के हम रहे कि नहीं हम जालिमीन के खिलाफ हैं और हम फ़लस्तीन के साथ हैं. At least that's what we could do. We had no power to do anything else. And we made dua. But them people, they are man yuridillahu bi khaira. Allah wants a great khair for them. The Ahlul Sham, the Ahlul Sharaf wal Manzila, the Ahl Palestine, they're the Ta'ifah that the Prophet mentioned in the hadith that will remain upon haqq until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Where will they be, Ya Rasulullah? He said, around the doors of Mosque al-Aqsa. Meaning the Ahl Quds. And even that, to mention that in a way that they're scattered, because they are. Some in the West Bank, some in Jerusalem, some in Gaza, scattered. Ta'ifah al-Haqq. That's what they are. So they have a khair from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when you're looking at this, then you remember and you realize the only people with iman like that. Mike Tyson famously said, everyone knows the quote, that everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. You know, it's really easy to say, main mashallah bara mujahid ji, tumhe bara hai, tumhe bara hua. Right? I'm this, I'm that. I could. The torture techniques that these guys have mastered, these oppressors, people, they die out of fear. They die out of fright. They'd give in the first instance. As soon as they get caught, just kill me now, take me, do whatever. No strength. Al-Palestine and the people, we'd be saying, take Masjid al-Aqsa. The Sinai is not so bad. It's not so bad. I remember I was in Jerusalem. Ek martaba hum Jerusalem mein the. Or we were going towards the grave of Hazrat Dawood alayhi salam. And this is outside the gate of Zion. For those of you that have been, you should remember. What a beautiful city. And there was a Palestinian guy. They're so nice. I was with my family. The first time I went with my family. Small. My son was only 1 year old, and mashallah, make dua for him. And, you know, so we were a small family anyway. And we wanted to go to the Olive Mount, in the Mount of Olives. And we wanted to go up to that. And we couldn't find a taxi, so we were waiting. And this guy is walking out, and he's got his family. And I said to him, no, we weren't waiting for a taxi. I thought we could walk there. I didn't know how to get there. So I just stopped this guy and I said, Tahki bil Arabiya. You speak Arabic. He's like, Na bahki, or bihki, my own Amiya, right? My own style. And I said to him, how do I get to the Olive Mount, right? He just looks at me and he goes, wait here. And then he goes over, whispers something to his wife. He says, okay, come with me, right? And so he went. He had his kids with him, and I didn't know what he was doing. I just started following him. I thought he was going to show me, like, and then he's got his car, and he says, here, pile in the car, I'll drop you off. I'll take you there. And I thought, subhanAllah, he doesn't know me. And he just put me into his car with his family and just drove us up to the Olive Mount and took us there. Beautiful people and very hospitable, despite. And I asked him, I said to him, oh, where do you live? He goes, I live right here, in this quarter. I said to him, yeah, but are you allowed to live here? He goes, they've been trying to get me out of my house for so many years. He goes, they've beat my children in the street, they've attacked my wife, they've attacked me, but I refuse to sell my house. You can't force me out my ancestral home. I refuse to go. And I thought, Yar. He said, they've offered me so much money for the house. Because it's in that part of Jerusalem, right? Because they've offered me so much money. Because they've resorted to bullying and abusing and physical violence. But I'm not giving up my house. And I thought, Yar, if somebody offered me 4 times the price, 5 times the price, say, these people are willing to offer you 10, 15, 20 times the price. Somebody offered me that, I'd take it in a heartbeat. I'm buying my house in Antalya, live out the rest of my life, like all the other Muslims. Like all the other Muslims. I said, no, you cousins, you stay there. Stay there and protect Masjid al-Aqsa while I go and have my KFC. Yeah? That's the reality on the ground. You live, you do the Islam thing for us, so we don't feel bad. Yeah? You do that. I'm not even, I ain't even gonna speak because, I just got that new promotion and, where I'm at, like, it's for the greater good, akhi, for the greater good. Yeah? You had a guy on YouTube who's owning a Starbucks because, some of these madkhali Salafis who believe that you should never boycott, never go against the leaders even if they do something wrong. No one's talking about khuruj against your imams. Ya khabi. You fool. No one's talking about revolting against your imams, the leaders, and creating chaos and anarchy. But they're saying that hold them to account at least. Is that not in the Khilafah? Amir al-Mu'mineen, unna gal bilkul choti ki thi. Amir al-Mu'mineen Umar ibn al-Khattab al-Faruq. He said to the women, don't ask for big dowries. They can't give it, the men. That's all he said. And the lady stands up, the Sahabiya, I can't remember actually if she was a Sahabiya or Tabi'iyya, but she stands up and she says, Amir al-Mu'mineen, you're saying something that Rasulullah didn't say. How dare you say that? And you know what he says, Amir al-Mu'minin? He says, everyone knows more than Umar. He was just giving nasiha. He wasn't changing the law. But she made that statement. He got on the minbar and he said, I take back what I said. You can ask for whatever you want. But that was khilafah. That was khilafah. That's what that was. When the Jewish man finds the armor of Amir al-Mu'minin Ali bin Abi Talib. Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salam at this time is Amir al-Mu'minin. Keep that in mind. He's the leader of the Muslims. And the man finds his armor. Hazrat Ali says to him, it's my armor. He says, no, it's not yours. They go to court. The Muslim Qadi that Hazrat Ali had put in place, the judge, said to Hazrat Ali, do you have a daleel that this is yours? He says, I don't. It's just ma'ruf. Like, they didn't have receipts and things like that. He says, no, but it's mine. He says, if you don't have a daleel, because he's claiming that he stole it, right? What's the hadith? That the bayan is on the mudda'i, right? The claimant has to produce the evidence. Ad-da'wa tahtaj ila al-daleel. This is a qawaid of our deen, rules of our deen. So he says to Hazrat Ali, no, I can't give it to you. And the Jewish man said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. He said, I had heard about the adl of Islam and I wanted to see it with my own eyes. And this waqi is his. I was just testing your adalat. Your adalat. It's like there was a story of the Imam. I forget it was an Imam. He said he became a new Imam in a town. Don't do this, by the way, yeah? Because I'd be upset with you. But he became a new Imam and he was a bus driver. So the new Imam got on the bus. And he what did he do? He underpaid or something? Oh no, he was given extra change by the bus driver. And he did it just to test him. That would he pocket it? Or would he, and it was like something small, like £1 or £2, something. And so he looked at it, oh, you overpaid me. He goes, no, I don't think I overpaid you. He goes, no, you overpaid me. This is what it was, and you overpaid me. So he gave the money back to him. Normal thing. Everyone would do it, right? Hopefully. And so he got off the bus, and but the bus driver said to him that you came in and I just wanted to test you. And the Imam afterwards, he said that I could have sold my Iman and perhaps the Iman of that person over £1. You know, but because adalat is the point I'm trying to say. Adalat. There's adl. Khilafah. There's adl in that. No one's talking about khuruj against them, but you could hold them to account. You could ask them questions. Huzur, Badshah Salamat. This is wrong, don't you think? If you fear being killed, that's something else. Why are you doing that? He's holding a Starbucks, this guy. And he's laughing. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble now. It's supposed to be a da'i. Oh, I'm going to get in trouble now because I got Starbucks. Because they're against boycotting. Ghabi. Ahmaq. They're foolish people. They're stupid people. Making light and making a joke out of this. And even you had to get other Salafis that came out and started to say that this is stupid and this is wrong. So, what we have to remember, it's easy. Whose phone is that? If you don't mind turning off. His, acha, fir theek hai, no problem. And some people are mustasna'at. Okay, so now, I'm saying it's easy for me to sit here and do my deen. But there. Why? Because this is the levels of Iman. These are the levels of Iman. There's levels to this. And those people, the highest level of Iman. So that's why, when the next time anybody makes a criticism, and people are like, why is it that we've been so harsh against certain ulama that have come out, they've written letters or they've said things, and they've just whitewashed the whole issue. They'll say things like, and if you know what I'm talking about, then you know. If you don't know, it doesn't matter. Extremism on both sides. Language like this. Not mentioning the word Palestine. Not mentioning the word Gaza. We just pray that there's peace in the world. Tika, I get what you're doing. You're saving your colleges. I understand that. I understand what you're doing. We're not stupid. We understand. And we understand that this is a time in which freedom of speech has absolutely gone missing. They've buried it 6 foot under. If there was any doubt that there's a false idea of actual freedom and liberty, if I ever had any doubt that these societies that are supposed to be built The mere fact that you can support Palestine and be told to go back to your own country. Whatever happened to dissent? Whatever happened to I'll fight for your right to have your own opinion? What happened to that? Just depends on what the opinion is. What a disaster. What a disaster. What a disaster. And so I understand that people, we're not stupid. I understand there's a maslahah. But then you have to understand why we are upset. And if we say something, the same way you have your position and way of saying things, it's fine. That's your position. We also have a position, which is we don't agree with your position. Why? Because we've left them to just fend for themselves. We can't even utter a word in the public space. Chappi to dua ka swasta karni ho? Really, if you think about it, you're sat in your private meeting and you're talking. Why are you being a hypocrite for? You're sat at home in the living room and you're talking about oppression going on in Palestine. But I won't mention it to anybody. I won't ever say it. I won't ever say it. Unless I get something. And, but I got heat. Well, why would I put myself in that difficult situation where I got heat? Or this has been compromised, that's been compromised. Why are the Ghazans staying there? Then they should just all go. Today if they said, I'm commenting on the khair bit of this hadith, by the way. I've not gone off on a tangent just in case. Because we've been doing sabr the whole time. This was that the people that have the greatest musibah are the people that have the greatest khair. I'm doing bayan of the faza'il, the virtues of the people of Gaza right now, by the way. But today, if they were to say, Tika, build us some megas in the Sinai, they'll build it for them. They'll build it for them, they'll go. No problem. People miss that whole point. From a purely secular perspective, that would make sense. I would agree with that. From a purely secular perspective, pack your bags. They'll build you, apparently they'll build you a city. Let's say I believe what they're saying. They'll build you mega cities, go into the Sinai, enjoy your life. Live your dreams. But their resistance, and people will always forget this. One thing that they don't understand about the people of Gaza is their resistance is not for land. Their resistance is for Masjid al-Aqsa. And that's the thing that people never get. They just miss that. That whole bit they miss. If it was just about a piece of land, they'll just go somewhere else. 70% of Jordan is Palestinian anyway. Originally the people that were forced out in the Nakba of 1948 and what has happened subsequently. People forget this is about Masjid al-Aqsa. The only thing stopping the destruction of Masjid al-Aqsa and the building of a temple on that exact place are the people of Palestine. Nobody else. If they go, Masjid al-Aqsa goes. Their resistance, and I'm not just talking about from Gaza, in the West Bank, the fact that they won't move, they won't budge. The people in Jerusalem, the reason why they're not moving is because of Masjid al-Aqsa. And people don't get that. And they forget that. And Masjid al-Aqsa is not even talked about. It's the Haram. We have a duty to protect it. But the only people that are fulfilling that duty are them. And instead of supporting them in whatever we can with our words and our prayers and telling people, and I hate this idea about, well, why do you live in England if you're so upset with what your government's doing? As far as I remember, we were British citizens. And that meant that we had a level of freedom to say things as long as we do not incite hate. That works for us. That works for if you're white, if you're black, if you're Muslim, if you're Jew, if you're Hindu, if you're right wing, left wing, far right, far left, somewhere in the middle, Buddhist. I thought that the state was built upon secular, non-religious, non-dogmatic, non-dogmatic, liberal principles in which all men were equal and they could have the opportunity, you would say, the blessing of dissent. Because if that freedom doesn't exist and we live in dictatorship-like totalitarian governments, if we truly are living in an Orwellian world, then why did you bomb everybody for the last 100 years and bomb democracy into them? Because they were doing just fine as dictatorships. In fact, the dictatorships they've got now are ones that our governments have put there. Before that, it was the Ottomans. It was a kingdom. It was an empire. Do you hear what I'm trying to say? Like the dictators of the Middle East that we also despise in the West, would never have been there had the Ottoman Empire not collapsed. And we were instrumental in that, were we not? In terms of our government. And B, these are the very dictators that we put up and funded. And so we wanted to give them democracy and freedom and the ability to dream and to take off their hijab and be free and be able to challenge their archaic, barbaric, backward ways. But it's just like the pigs have started walking. It's all the same, isn't it? The pigs have started walking. That's what's happened. Right there, all of the great revolution, all of the great ideas that we are going to bring absolute peace and justice on this planet. And yet you're like, well, all right, you hold a difference of opinion. All right, you're white, so I can't say go back to your country. So, oh, you're brown. Oh, you're brown. Okay, you go back to your country. One of the brothers is white, and he made a comment because he's Muslim. Just because he's Muslim. So the response to him was what? Why don't you go live in a Muslim country? You can't say go back to your country because he is in his country, even though he lives in a Muslim country. And he responded very satisfyingly. I do live in a Muslim country, but that's not the point. The point is, why is that a jawab? That's not an answer. That's not an answer. And that's why people like Norman Finkelstein and Chomsky and so many of these other intellectuals that have been speaking about this are so problematic, because where do you tell them to go? Can't tell them to go anywhere. Gosh, how amazing it would have been to have been white. At least you could have stood up for the oppressed and not been told to go back to your country. At least your opinion would have been legitimate. Really, at least it would have been legitimate. But just because you're the children of migrants, suddenly you don't have a brain. You're not basing anything upon any kind of intelligent or reasonable argument. You're just barbarian Hamas supporters. That's what you are. I don't even know if people realize how stupid they sound. Are you even listening to yourself? How stupid you sound. Yeah, but khair. Al-Palestine al-khair. Al-Baraka. The Al-Islam. They're the people of Islam. And so we vent in this way, which is clearly what I've been doing, but in the same way we speak. And we constantly remind people, constantly, and we tell people, and we say it loudly and proudly, and why? Because that's all we can do. That's all we can do. If you see a munkar, something terrible the Prophet said, something abhorrent, objectionable, he said, then change it with your hand. If you can't do that, then with your tongue. And if not that, then at least hate it in your heart. And that's the lowest of iman. That's the lowest of iman. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help our brothers and sisters in Palestine and make it easy for them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us hearts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide the people around the world to see what's actually happening. Ya Rabbil Alameen, Ya Akram al-Akrameen. These are the people of khair. Ya Allah, we pray that you reward them with the greatest reward for their resilience and defense of Masjid al-Aqsa, Ya Rabbil Alameen, and of their ancestral home, the Bilad al-Muslimin. And we pray, Ya Rabbil Alameen, Ya Akram al-Akrameen, that you make this easy and you give them a victory, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Ya Arham al-Rahimin. Wa salli Allahumma wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ameen bi rahmatika ya Arham al-Rahimin.